Tonight we are under the lights at the Bluegrass State of Kentucky Speedway out here tonight. The mile-and-a-half track is the host of race number 15, round number 2 of the playoffs for the Trinity Racing League, as drivers get set to do battle out here for the next 300 miles. To help me call the action for the next 300 miles, I have my friend Chris Rose up here in the booth as usual for race number 2 of the playoffs. Chris, good evening. Happy Monday night to you here from the Trinity Racing League.
Happy Monday night. I'm out here ready for a real exciting one here at Kentucky. It's a little different of the track, and you don't really see a lot of people running here. Really, two consistencies, so it's going to be pretty interesting out here tonight.
It certainly will. Last week, drivers they were over in Japan, and we're back over here stateside tonight for the Colonel 160, as drivers take their final 90 seconds or so of opening practice out here, as Noah Steele currently passes Chris Stitz sits second on the board, and Brandon Gass the top 3 as we finish out the final minutes of practice here. Chris, we were just talking with race control and some of the drivers. We heard 2 things: tires and also maybe even some shifting out here tonight.
Yeah, Josh was mentioning that that in 3 and 4 that you might have to shift a little bit, get later into the run, because the tires get real bad around like lap 20. He was mentioning. So If drivers don't save, you might see some people pushing out of 4 a little bit, having to get out of the throttle. Maybe if somebody's on the outside there, but yeah, it's just 3 and 4 is a really technical and interesting corner here at Kentucky. So especially on this new package, it's gonna take some figuring out for these drivers.
It's going to be a fun one to watch. We come in here tonight, race number 2 of the playoffs of 5 races scheduled for it. Thomas Green leads the points coming in tonight over Nolan Hicks. He's got just a 4-point lead over Nolan Hicks. Ali Fonseca just 8 points back off of the points lead, with Brandon Gass also within striking distance, 9 points for Brandon Gass. That's what he's looking to make up. And the top 5 is Cedric Hunter, also 9 points back. Coming into tonight's event, there's an opportunity for points to be given out tonight and a shake-up in the playoffs here as we get set to do battle here from Kentucky as the checkered flag falls over practice.
Always like Kentucky, man. It's like I was saying, it's pretty technical. I like how you can run 3 and 4 really differently, and then 1 and 2. It's so different.
Checkered flag falls, and that means we're going to move on over to our 5-minute 2-lap qualifying session. The driver's going to be rolling out of pit road here. We'll wait and see which driver rolls first. Last week we saw a green to checkered flag, no caution flags at Motegi Speedway. We'll see if tonight is similar or not. One of the first cars making their way out on pit road is the 17 Chevy Camaro by Chris Stitz. Chris begins to make his way down the back stretch, and he's going to get up to speed the first time by. We heard turns 1 and 2, or 1 and 2, and also 3 and 4, super tight for these cars. So while the good is good on the Goodyears, driver's going to be looking to get the best of the 2 qualifying laps that they possibly can out here this evening. Chris Stitz comes in here tonight 11th in points, down 9 positions in the opening round of the playoffs last week at Motegi.
Yeah, I can tell he was struggling a little bit last week. He's going to be looking to definitely make up for that. And I mean, Motegi's definitely difficult. It's different. You don't see it on the schedule a lot, so I definitely understand how somebody could, not have the greatest time there.
First time by across the board for Chris. That's going to land him tentatively at the top of the board. Only car to post the time. Now more time starts to come in with Ali Fonseca in second, Ben Kinney in third, but it's about a 0.6 of a second difference between first and what is now third place as Scott Richter slots into second.
You're going to see a lot of these drivers using the way outside of 3 and 4, get a little bit of downhill off the corner, get some more speed to keep their momentum into 1 and 2. It's going to be a pretty defensive position to be in for tonight.
2 laps done and away for current pole sitter Chris Stitz, still at the top of the board. Now Scott Richter about to complete lap number 2 in that 0.5. See if he's able to improve on lap number 2. Looks like he's going to hold in third place as we have a new tentative pole sitter up there. That's going to be Ali Fonseca. We're going to move our attention and our eyes over to the driver of the 53. That is, of course, Chris Stamper.
Chris Stamper's going to be looking to nail 3 and 4 here. It's a hard corner to nail, but if you can get it right, you can really get a really quick lap here, especially if you can get the power down as soon as possible.
2 laps done for Mr. Stamper. First time by was 9th. He's going to improve to second. Brandon Gass in the number 29, the next car out on track right now, as we have probably about 7 or 8 additional cars out on track right now. It's a field of 21 drivers. That looks like what we're going to have out here tonight. And these drivers not done settling the score for the starting lineup out here. Brandon Gass going to be good enough for third as he completes his second lap. Next driver up on the deck is going to be the driver of the 16. That is Mr. Kanata.
And before the show, we heard Josh saying he has a little bit of trouble here at Kentucky, but hopefully he's going to be able to prevail through it. And it looks like he's able to get a decent lap down here. Yeah, 6th place. That's not too bad for Josh. You got to be a little more confident in yourself, man.
2 laps in the books for the driver, the number 16. Currently puts him 6th place. Thomas Green comes in here tonight as the points leader, and he's going to be looking to improve on his current starting spot. Currently, first lap was good enough for 17th. At the top of the board, it is still Ali Fonseca, Noah Steele, now making Thomas Green the top 3. He just knocks Brandon Gass off of a podium starting spot. That's going to move our attention over to Ryan Kelly here as practice enters the final 60 seconds of qualifying. Ryan Kelly, obviously, with that dominating win last week, Chris, and not in the playoffs, but Ryan Kelly still showing up. Got 3 wins on the season already. Got a win at Homestead Miami Speedway. Charlotte Motor Speedway was the second one, and then Motegi last week. So Ryan Kelly looking to continue a career season here, but he's going to have one more challenger. That's out on the track right now. That's going to be the 38 of Christopher Norris.
Yeah, you mentioned about Ryan Kelly not even being in the playoffs here, and I think that's kind of a power move for a driver to come in and I believe he relinquished his spot in the playoffs for not being able to participate fully. I may be confusing that with another driver, but being able to relinquish your position and still come out there and win is it's kind of just a show of dominance. You know, it's a pretty big power move from that driver.
Yeah, Ryan Kelly had to give up his playoff spot, was not going to be able to make every single playoff race that we've got coming up next week. We're at Watkins Glen, our final road course of the season, May 11th. We'll be over in the desert at Phoenix Raceway, and then finally we're going to settle a score for the championship at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So just 4 races remaining, including this race here this evening. So the season quickly coming to an end in the Trinity Racing League for their second season here, and one of these drivers looking to grab the trophy at the end of this season. Driver's going to be given a couple of minutes to make their final preparations for the next 160 laps out here this evening. And, well, I tell you what, Chris, let's try to grab one of our drivers out here this evening. Maybe try to grab a word with one of them. Let's grab, who haven't we really spoken with this season? Where is, let's try to grab the driver of the 03. We'll try to grab Mr. Clint Cox down here and see if Clint's got a moment for us. Clint, Tom, and Chris down here in the booth. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Hey, we're doing okay. We're getting set for 160 laps of racing, and we're back to kind of a normal style racetrack as opposed to Motegi over in Japan last week. But you got 160 laps to try to do something here tonight, driver 03. How are you going to manage this?
Well, I'll tell you what. We're back in the USA today, so we're happy about that. But I don't know. I don't really think this track fits my driving style per se, but it's on the tighter side. I'd rather race a looser track, but we'll do the best we can. These guys are really good, and we don't get a whole lot of practice just with our life schedule. So we do the best we can on Monday nights and give her hell.
That's all you can do, right? I mean, we were talking with Josh earlier tonight. Josh is always a familiar face in the booth before the show starts. And I don't know if he's told anybody else this or if it's a trade secret, but he was saying that there's a possibility that we may see some drivers shifting, especially down in 3 and 4 tonight. Maybe in your camp as well?
I'll be honest. Me and Chris, we are not huge fans of the shifting. We don't road course race, so we're not real super handy with that, but I could see how it could get slow enough down in 3 and 4 with the tire wear for guys to be doing that. But honestly, for us, we just like to be smooth and steady and try to avoid that. But if it's much faster, then we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, I think they're already probably talking about it. Clint, final question before I let you run here and do battle for the next 160 laps. You come in here tonight, you are the lowest in the playoff standings. Got about a 25-point gap to make up here over the next 4 races, including tonight. What's your attack here for these next 160 laps?
Well, I was hoping for some more positive news than that, but that is the cards that were dealt here. These guys are really good. Like it's the best league guys I've ran with, so I mean it's going to be tough. So we're usually a mid-pack car at best, but a track here and there we can run the top 5. So we'll just have to avoid some mistakes and do the best we can with the skill set that we have and go from there.
All right, Clint. Well, best of luck to you. Hopefully get to chat with you at the end of the evening here of the Colonel 160.
All right, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, and that is driver Clint Cox, who comes in here tonight 16th out of the 16 playoff drivers. Currently 25 points back off of the points lead, and with only 4 races remaining, that's going to be a difficult hole to climb out of, but certainly not insurmountable with some of the tracks that they have coming up. Final minute of warm-up out here as Mike Miller currently fastest in the warm-up. Only a handful of drivers. Larry Yingling about to put down his first time on the track. Josh Sawyer, Ryan Kelly, Chris Stamper, all drivers that rolled out of pit road but did not complete a full lap here in the warm-up out here tonight, Chris. But it's almost time to get our starting lineup ready to roll out here for a Monday night.
You know, they're itching to get going after having that little bit of warm-up. I see only 2 people hit the track, so actually there's a few more people hitting it now, but you got to wonder, maybe people are just getting their last little bits of setup and little bits of preparation ready before the race actually starts.
Well, we come out here this evening, and as we always do, want to give a shout out to our sponsors out here this evening that allow us to be here every single Monday night. Our pole sitter and grid sponsor award, that is Blazing Fast TV. If you're looking for a chill and relaxed stream, race on over to Blazing Fast TV on Twitch and YouTube. Check out a live point of view of Dakota Moniz as he races. Drop a follow, click the like button, subscribe to stay up to date when he goes live and post content every single week. And tonight it is from Kentucky Speedway as the field is about ready to get lined up down here on the front stretch. Starting out here on the pole out here tonight, the Blazing Fast TV pole sponsor award going to Ali Fonseca out here tonight. He was able to best Noah Steele on the front row. Thomas Green comes in here tonight as the points leader. He's going to be starting 3rd with Ryan Kelly, last week's winner, in 4th. The top 5 is rounded out by the driver, the number 29. That is Brandon Gass. Nolan Hicks rolls off on the outside of row number 3. Chris Stitz rolls off from 7th place out here this evening. Sam Garcia is on the outside of row number 4, and the top 10 is Josh Kanata and Clint Cox.
And you've got Mike Miller in the 99 in 11th, and Cody Reed in 12th, Scott Ricard and Larry Yingling in 13th and 14th, Cedric Hunter in the bright pink Hello Kitty machine in 15th, Chris Stamper in 16th, Christopher Norris in 17th, Aaron Krolick in 18th, Mark Labertone and Josh Sawyer rounding out the top 20 in 19th and 20th respectively.
21st place belongs to Ben Kinney. There is one driver out here this evening that chose not to take a qualifying time here in the 5-minute qualifying session, and that is the driver, the number 57 of Thomas Walter, starting 22nd out here tonight. 22 drivers getting set to do battle in the Bluegrass State underneath the lights here from this 1.5-mile track. All right, Chris, just a handful of races remain now. We've got Kentucky Speedway, we've got Watkins Glen, Phoenix, and then finally Las Vegas Motor Speedway here. You're one of the drivers in the upper echelons of the point standings right now. You have to approach this race maybe a little bit different than you do if you're down towards the bottom of that playoff grid.
Yeah, you might want to take it a little. I don't know, honestly. It's kind of an interesting place to be in, because in my mind, I'd want to be cautious if I'm in the front, to run a consistent race and be able to finish. But at the same time, I don't want to run too cautious and fall back and lose a lot of positions.
Well, I mean, we saw what had happened last week in Motegi, where a couple of drivers elected not to take a qualifying attempt, and some of them, it kind of bit in the rear end. They weren't able to get caught up as we had flag to flag, green to checkered flag out there last week. We'll see if the same happens out here this evening. But looking at the starting lineup out here tonight, you got Christopher Norris, Larry Yingling, Cedric Hunter, Cody Reed, all drivers starting well outside the top 10 here at Kentucky.
And they're definitely going to be looking to fight their way up here, and even if some of them may not be in the playoffs, they're definitely going to want to, they still want to win under their belt. So.
Absolutely, and that's going to play more of a picture as the season goes along. In the closing portions of this season, is you've got drivers racing for a championship, and you've got drivers just racing for a win. And at some point, you're going to have a mix of the two together. But tonight, we've got 160 laps from the Colonel 160 here for the Trinity Racing League, and it's about time we go racing again on a Monday night here from Kentucky Speedway. Chris, pace car is down. That means one thing. It's time to go racing.
As it is, as they come to the restart zone here, we're going to see if anyone can get maybe a slight bit of jump on the green flag, but it doesn't seem like it. It seems like they both are able to get going. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing here.
Ali Fonseca was the control car on that restart, and he's going to bring us down to turn number 1 for the first time. He's going to lead the charge of 20 drivers behind him through the banks of turns 1 and 2 for the first time as they make their way onto the backstretch. Fonseca with the lead over Thomas Green, Noah Steele in third.
As you see, Ali is able to create a pretty decent sized gap off of turn 1 and 2 from the row 2 drivers, and you know, you might end up seeing some of that first car pull away type deal that we saw a few weeks ago.
Close racing through the first lap. Give a bonus point to Ali Fonseca on the opening lap here tonight of the Colonel 160. That's going to be a bonus point for driver number 24 out here tonight. Noah Steele has made his way up into second place. Got his way around Thomas Green. Brandon Gass has challenged for third now with Thomas Green up on the outside, but it's a 2-car breakaway. First battle is for third.
Pretty tight battle as well, as Brandon Gass sends it up to the inside of Thomas Green here. He's able to get he's able to clear him, not just pretty clear, he's able to clear him by a large portion here on the backstretch, and I think Thomas might just wanted to let him by and maybe save some tires here, because tires are definitely going to be the most valuable thing here, especially at Kentucky. I know I say it every week, but at tracks like Kentucky where 3 and 4 are super flat and burns the tires a bunch, it's definitely going to be a very important case here.
Well, early in the race, we've got our first lead change of the night. Give the lead over to Noah Steele, who made a power move around the outside of the 24 of Ali Fonseca. Noah Steele going to collect a bonus point to lead lap number 3, and he's going to take the lead away from the pole sitter out here this evening. So Noah Steele up 1 position from his qualifying effort. Ali Fonseca down 1, and then from there, these drivers 2 and even sometimes 3 wide back here just a moment ago. But it's a top 4 breakaway as we are working lap number 5.
Yeah, you mentioned 3 wide, and just back there in 3 and 4, these 3 right here, I believe that's Larry Yingling as well as Ryan Kelly and Clint Cox. They were all 3 wide entering 3 and 4. And it looks like it's going to be a similar situation here entering this time, as Clint Cox wants to get down below Ryan Kelly, and he's able to get down there, but not sure if he's going to be able to have the speed coming off the corner to be able to clear him.
It's a difficult spot to be in on the exit of the corner because you really need the entire track to power down, and you saw the effects of it on the exit of turn number 4 there. Clint Cox had a pretty good run through 3 and 4, but on the exit of turn number 4 could not put the power down as he had Ryan Kelly up on his outside. That allowed Larry Yingling to step away by about a car length and maybe a half, and that's going to keep Clint Cox back in the 6th place position, already up a couple of spots early in the going out here tonight, the driver that we spoke to in the pre-race.
You know, I do believe that what I was saying was correct about that high line being a little more defensive here, as Ryan Kelly's keeping running that high line in 3 and 4 and able to and actually clear Clint Cox here into this corner. But it seems like that high line is going to work pretty well for defense into 3 and 4. Maybe not into 1 and 2, but you see Clint Cox is sending it again on the inside of Ryan Kelly here, and he's able to get there, but I'm not sure if it's the right move here. You know, you're burning up a lot of tires there on the bottom.
Ali Fonseca was under fire for a moment there from the driver, the 29. That's Brandon Gass, unable to do anything at the moment. That's going to allow Larry Yingling to take another spot forward, already up 11 positions through the first 7.5 laps of tonight's event. Drivers working to put lap number 8 on the record books out here tonight from Kentucky. But that red and I guess it's pink on the side of that Ford Mustang moving forward in a hurry. Larry Yingling takes a look to the outside, and he's going to be on the outside of the 24 by the time they get to the start finish line.
Yeah, and you saw him looking mid-corner to the outside there, and he was able to get there, and and get a little bit of that run from the downhill in 3 and 4, and he was able to get, right alongside with the 24 and keep that position here into 1 and 2. And I think that's just going to help him out on this backstretch, give him a little bit of a run here. As you see, he's passing, he's giving a little bit of a pass to Ali Fonseca here, and now he's going to have that defensive line. It's 3 and 4, able to hold it on the top, maybe pinch him down a little bit, just so he can't use as much of the track, and might be able to clear him here on the front stretch.
We did hear some concerns about tire wear out here, though, and with drivers talking about tires maybe as early as 15 to 20 laps in to tonight's event. Biggest mover of the night by far, up 12 spots. He's got the leader, Noah Steele, now directly in his windshield, and that's going to be the next driver and the next target that he sets his sights on out here. And at this rate, he's going to get there before long. It's just a matter of if he's able to save the tires on his way up through the field. That's going to be the question that everybody's going to find out the answer to here at the end of this fuel run. Is Larry Yingling now to the inside of the race leader, Noah Steele. Battle for the lead.
Yeah, and Larry's driving a great race here in this early parts of the race. But like you said, you brought up a good point. You got to wonder if he's using up the tires a little more than the other people here on the other drivers here on the track, and that might come back to bite him in a little bit in a few laps here, especially when the pit cycles come through.
Noah Steele slides up just a little bit, maybe a little bit of a defensive line on the exit of turn number 4. Don't know how long he'll be able to be defensive for. Larry Yingling's going to take a look, put that left front to the outside right rear of Noah Steele, and we've got a battle once again for the lead, looking for our second lead change of the evening. So far, Noah Steele, Ali Fonseca have already clicked off laps led here this evening, and the driver, the number 67, looks to become the third one to do so in just 12 laps.
And you can see just how dominant that middle line is here, as Larry's able to keep the power down through the middle of the corner and keep the run off the corner here. And it's the gap was developing there, but I think Noah had a really good run on the inside of the front stretch there and was able to keep that gap closed.
Larry Yingling is able to take the race lead. Noah Steele's going to slot back up into second place. Ali Fonseca thinks about taking a look down to the inside of the driver, number 8, on the entrance to turn number 3, and he's going to send it down there. These drivers going to be very close, almost make contact at the apex of 3 and 4. Fonseca has to get out of the gas just a little bit to avoid door contact with the number 8. That's going to allow an opening for Brandon Gass to come through and maybe take third place away from Ali.
I think what we saw there was a little bit of a misjudgment from Ali. Wanted to get there on the inside of Noah, but I think just overshot the entry to the corner a little bit. Had to get out of the gas to not get into the 8 car, and now it opened up the gap for Brandon Gass to come in here and be a little bit more aggressive to try to get that position for him.
Fonseca's not giving up just yet. He's got Noah Steele right up in his sights. He's going to take a look to the outside. He saw Yingling take the race lead just a lap or 2 ago on the outside lane, and now Fonseca, the pole sitter out here this evening, he has made his way around the driver, the number 8. That's Noah Steele, who slots back into third place. Move our battle for fourth place up on the board out here as Brandon Gass thinks about taking a look on Chris Stitz. Not going to happen just yet. He's going to restack and repack for at least one more set of corners. Chris Stitz is now up for grabs on Noah Steele directly up the road.
Yeah, up for grabs. I mean, a little bit more than that. I think he grabbed the position completely. He sent it in there at 1 and 2 and was able to clear him right there. And, I don't know. I think that was just a great showing of driver skill there, able to judge the corner a little bit better than your competitors there and just, drive right around them. Great showing for the 17 car.
The field of 22 drivers flashes by in a hurry on the exit of turn number 4 as they cross the start-finish lines to begin lap number 17 of 160 out here. And this is kind of the question mark that a lot of people are concerned about in terms of tire wear out here tonight, Chris. As we approach lap number 20, we've heard turn 3 and 4 super tight. So this is, I think, the point of a run where you'll start to see drivers who were pushing early start to slide back, and drivers who are maybe being a little bit more cautious with the tires start to make their way back up towards the front of the field. But we've got some battles happening everywhere you look out here at Kentucky, with Ryan Kelly now up in the mix for a top 5 spot. He takes a look to the outside of Noah Steele, not able to take that spot away just yet.
not able, and but he is able to get into the wall there a little bit. Was able to catch it, but kept his run pretty well into 3 and 4. And that's a great spot to be in here, coming into the front stretch here. Get a little bit of running from that top line. You might be able to capitalize and get a position here from the car that's sitting there on the inside.
On board with the former race leader, Noah Steele, as he makes his way down into turn number 1. Directly in front of him, Ali Fonseca, now under fire from Chris Stitz, and you can hear Noah Steele have to get out of the gas just a little bit in order to avoid contact with the wall, as we have our first yellow flag of the evening. Looks like Nolan Hicks, Scott Richter going to be involved in this one.
I wonder if something happened right behind Noah, to be honest, because that checkup, you saw him. I couldn't tell if he got a bump from behind or if maybe he just got into the wall a little bit, but saw a little bit of cage rattling from the car, and you got to wonder if something happened right behind him.
So I'm thinking this may be a two-part incident here, because Brandon Gass, one of the playoff contenders, he is significantly damaged. Let's first take a look at Brandon Gass and find out what happens here. We're going to have to slot back up just a little bit, but Brandon Gass, Ryan Kelly, they're definitely going to make some contact. Cody Reed's going to come in there. Scott Rickard going to come in there as well. Looks like Cedric Hunter may get through. Aaron Krolick's going to get through, it looks like. All right, let's back this up here just a little bit and take a better look at this contact on the exit of 2.
I knew it. I had a feeling that was what happened there with the contact between the 8 and the 13, and I think I don't think the 13 realized that the 03 was gonna send it down there, and unfortunately that just turned into some issues for everybody there. Real big issues for the 25 and the 29. Unfortunately, worst time for the 25.
Another look here as we're going to see a 3-wide situation on the exit of turn number 2. We'll take one more look at this and get you to yellow flag pit stops here that are currently happening, the entire field on pit road, and then we'll take some more looks at this replay. But Clint Cox sees an opening in the middle, and then just a little bit of contact, left front to right rear, 29 into the 13, and that's going to send a bunch of drivers sideways.
And then a big hit from the 25 into the 29 there. Like I was saying, just unfortunate place to be in for the 25 there. Just wrong place, wrong time.
Drivers make their way onto pit road for the first time. One driver did stay out. That is the 0-1 of Aaron Krolick. As it looks like there's more issues towards the back of the field as Cody Reed tries to get in his box. But Larry Yingling going to win the race off of pit road. Second place going to go to, I'll give it to Ali Fonseca visually. Give it third place to Noah Steele. And fourth to Clint Cox on the exit of pit road. All right, Chris, let's grab, now that these drivers have made their way down and off pit road, I want to grab a fun look here. Let's grab a look here with Cody Reed on this yellow flag. On board with the 25, and this is going to kind of tell its own story.
Yeah, that's just really unfortunate. He even checked up for the wreck too. He just got smoked in the back end, and unfortunately couldn't control it after that. And again, wrong place, wrong time for the 25.
Well, let's see if we can't find out who may have been the driver that made contact with Cody Reed in the back. Is that going to be Sam Garcia, maybe? It is going to be Sam Garcia who makes contact with Cody Reed. Scott Rickard also goes around, and that is our first yellow flag of the evening.
You could tell Sam was trying to avoid him too, just was not quick enough on the brakes, unfortunately, and just ended up ruining the 25's night. Just not intentionally, of course, but really unfortunate showing.
Yeah, really unfortunate start and also end to Cody Reed's race, as he is being shown a meatball flag, which in the iRacing world means you have too much damage to continue, and you're going to be down on pit road for a substantial amount of time if they even let you get back out. All right, Chris, well, handful of laps down. We'll call it 20 laps down. Drivers use their first set of tires out here this evening. We've seen some comers. We've seen some goers early in the going. One thing I do think that this played out really well into Larry Engling's hands. He was able to make up 13 spots from where he started. Caution falls at the right time, and now he's going to be the race leader on this restart.
And on fresh tires, it's a nice place to be in, especially when you know you could run through the pack the way you did. It's a great place to be in.
It also kind of neutralizes everybody else and maybe any sort of disadvantage that Larry would have had burning up the tires coming through the field. But we're back, green flag race, and Barney's going to send them on their way. The field of 21 drivers now makes their way down to turn number 1. Yingling Fonseca for the race lead into 1. Fonseca on the inside with Yingling on the outside.
You know, I think it might have been a smart position for Larry to be up there on the top line. Even though it let Ollie advance a little bit into 1 and 2, Yingling's able to have the more defensive line into 3 and 4 and able to clear him coming off the corner. And, you know, I think that all worked out into his strategy here, because now he's able to put about a car length gap on the 24 here.
Well, there's a little bit of trust there as well, right? We saw, obviously, Larry get the checkered flag at Talladega Super Speedway, and I don't know that we've seen many drivers work together as well as we have those two that work together at Talladega Super Speedway, and now they're towards the front of the field. Larry Yingling looks to pick up what would be his second win of the season, and it would come at a great time. Talladega was the final race of the regular season, and now race number 2 of the playoffs. At 5 races, we get set to go racing once again here, working lap number 25 of 160.
Yeah, we see this battle heating up here between Clint Cox and Thomas Green, and Thomas was able to send it on the outside of 1 and 2 and clear Clint Cox here into 3 and 4. Dropped it right back down to the inside to stay a little bit defensive, but like I was saying, that top line is pretty quick, so Noah had to do a little bit of quick thinking, slide up in front of Clint Cox and mitigate his run. Now Clint's got a little bit of his work cut out for him for these next few laps.
Cox going to stay up on the top shelf of the Speedway, not going to amount to much just yet. Going to get a little bit of a run down the backstretch. He'll be even with the number 8 by the time they get into turn number 3, but battles happening all over this 1.5-mile track out here this evening at Kentucky. Give Clint Cox the 4th place running position as the top 5, top 6, maybe top 7 now single file as they have driven away just a little bit. Larry Yingling still up towards the front of the field in control of this race.
You see Larry got a little bit tight off the corner, and it kind of messed up his runs into 3 and 4, and Ollie was able to gain a lot of time on the backstretch there, but now it's going to come down to who's able to nail the exit of the corner better. Looks like Larry's able to get the power down pretty well here as opposed to Ollie, and now he's just going to be looking to be defensive into 1 and 2.
You can already hear the throttle play happening with the driver, the 67. That's the race leader. And his car is going to be handling the best out of anybody's out here in that clean air. And you can already hear him having to get out of the gas and play with it just a little bit. We'll see if any of the drivers starts a shift. Not something that I was expecting to hear out here tonight, but, you know, they say drivers know best anytime they're out on track. They're the ones driving these machines around here. So that's what we heard earlier is that there's a possibility for shifting. So we'll see if we hear any drivers doing that the longer this run goes along.
You know, I'd be a little bit surprised to hear it because especially in these O'Reilly cars, the shifting sometimes can hurt you a little more than it can help. So I'd be a little bit surprised to see it out here in Kentucky, but honestly, not a bad option to think about for these drivers. Like you were saying, drivers know best when they're on the track.
Well, it's not a terrible option for them to think about, but drivers also need to consider the fuel that they would be using as drivers use that. A fuel run here is about 60 laps, so most of these drivers are on pit road on or around lap number 20. And so 60 laps would bring us to about 80. Then we would still be a little bit short on a fuel run towards the end of the race. So just something to keep in mind for the later portions of tonight's race once we do get there in terms of the extra fuel burn using third gear.
Noah Steele's looking to the back of Clint Cox here, getting a little bit impatient behind him. He sees his teammate coming up behind him as well as Chris Stitz. He definitely wants to get out of this position, see if he can get into a little bit of clean air, maybe able to capitalize a little bit. We see a little bit of contact there between Chris Stamper and Noah Steele. And, you know, Chris Stamper, great job of him to get out of the gas there and give Noah a little bit of room. It's real early into the race, you know, no reason to be super aggressive right now. Just form him into line, and seems like he's doing that.
Yeah, Stamper slid up just a little bit on the entry into turn number 3, made contact with the 8 of Noah Steele, almost bigger issues at the front of the field, but they were able to get through without an issue. All eyes back up to second place now. Thomas Green on the inside of Ali Fonseca. They're going to make almost identical contact through 3 and 4, but it's going to be Ali Fonseca that prevails at the start-finish line.
You know, I was just going to say that it was pretty much identical with the 3 sliding up into the 0-3. You got to wonder, maybe these drivers are starting to feel a little bit more of the fall off here. I'm not sure if they're being a little more aggressive than the first stint of tires, but maybe some of these drivers feeling a little bit more of the fall off than in the beginning stint.
Clint Cox, not the race winner of the Watson 150, currently runs third. Home track 4. Clint Cox, he comes out here tonight. Currently on the move. We spoke with him before the race, said that he had some work to do, and work is being done out here tonight. Currently runs in the 3rd place spot, as he's got Ali Fonseca in his windshield, but Thomas Green not too far behind, just a 10th behind him as the battles continue on.
No, I keep saying it. I just love how unique Kentucky is as a track. I wish NASCAR still went here, you know, because 1 and 2 is so different from 3 and 4. It's literally a whole different part of the track. So I don't know. I just have a real deep down appreciation for this track. So it's just love seeing these drivers out here having some battles on in the track here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess I'm kind of being put on the spot here, but if memory serves me correctly, I want to say they only ran about 3 cup races here. Had some issues with traffic, and then ultimately stopped coming here. But it's still a favorite of mine on the iRacing service. So anytime we get to take a trip over here to the Bluegrass State, puts on some great racing, and you got some great side-by-side racing, as we've seen drivers using the outside lane here throughout the first 36.5 laps of tonight's event.
You know, that's actually a pretty cool fact. I didn't know that was the reason why they shut down Kentucky. It's cool to think that the track was so popular that there was so much traffic. You know, I'm not sure if it was an overflow to the track or if the area had a problem with it, but it's still pretty cool to think about.
Well, that's going off my memory. If I remember correctly, they had some traffic issues the first year or so, and then I think things probably improved. But this is a track that was really only the host to what was then at the time the Xfinity Series and the trucks, and they had never seen a Cup race here at Kentucky until probably about 2022 maybe. I think it was
like 2021, 2022, something about there.
Yeah, we'll say that.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me to think that they waited till the next gen cars to go here. You know, I'm especially with the, like you saying, being host to Xfinity and trucks for so long.
Back at the front of the field, Larry Yingling, he's got company in form of Ali Fonseca and Clint Cox and some additional drivers. Brandon Gass is up in this mix, but a couple of laps down for Brandon Gass. Currently runs in the 17th place. He is going to be multiple laps down for Brandon Gass, involved in the one and only contact incident out here this evening. A caution on lap number 20, but driver number 29 up in the mix at the front of the field.
And we saw what looked to be some frustrations boiling over from the 29 and the 03. It looked like the 03 was trying to get past him, knowing that he was a few laps down, and it looked like Brandon Gass just didn't want to give that up. And as soon as the 03 came to the outside, the 23 looked to either overdrive the entry or something, but made contact and sent him up into the outside wall. So I'm gonna wonder and see if there's gonna be any sort of retaliation here. Probably not, but maybe some good racing. That's what it's looking like.
Well, it's a difficult position to be in when you're coming to the playoffs. You're a championship-eligible driver, and 20 laps into tonight's event, you're involved in an incident and you find yourself 10 laps down. That is probably a little bit out of reach in terms of possibilities to get your laps back. If you were just 1 or 2 laps back, you get a lucky caution or 2 that fall at the exact right time, and you'll find yourself back on the lead lap and maybe sneak out a good finish. But being 10 laps down here tonight, Chris, especially with the removal of stage cautions, that's going to be a tall task for the 29 to do out here tonight, and I do believe it's going to be a long night for driver number 29, just looking to pick up positions here in the closing laps of tonight's event.
An interesting point to bring up is that we're seeing a lot of drivers brush the outside of their car into the outside wall on entry. You got to wonder, you don't want to overstep that. You know, you want to use as much track as you can, but getting into the wall one too many times could really mess up the way the car drives, and you don't want to do that, because then it's the car drives completely different, and it's like relearning the machine again, all while on track mid-race. You don't want to have to do that.
Yeah, and these O'Reilly cars, super sensitive on terms of tires. You and I think we've both had a run-in with the wall ourselves, and you hit the wall sometimes and you think, man, I didn't really hit it that hard, but it broke the steering, or it broke the suspension on it or something. And then it really makes the car drive very differently than anything else, what you've already experienced throughout the course of the night. But these cars very sensitive to damage.
Yeah, it's almost like the steering rack is specifically sensitive. That and the radiator on these cars. That's another thing I noticed.
Yeah, I have had a couple of cars overheat with a little bit of nose damage, and we've seen it here in the Trinity Racing League with some drivers start to overheat a little bit. But at the front of the field, Thomas Green, while we're yapping up here, Thomas Green has taken over the race lead from Larry Yingling. Larry slides up high now. That's going to open up the window for second place Ali Fonseca, and third place of Chris Stitz, and maybe even fourth of Noah Steele to get by. The 67 is dropping spots in a hurry here, Chris.
Yeah, you got to wonder, maybe he used up some of those tires a little early. You know, he had a big gap a few laps, maybe about, I want to say 10 laps ago. So you got to wonder if he maybe used them up, or maybe just overdrove a corner or something like that and really compromised some of his positions.
Drivers currently working about 26 laps on their tires, minus a couple of caution laps. So call it 24, 25 green flag laps on this set of Goodyear Eagles that they're currently racing on. So this is about, as we were saying earlier, Chris, this is about the portion of the race where you'll start to see some tire wear. You'll start to see some people who were saving the tires start to march their way forward. And as I say that, Chris Stitz makes a power move to the outside of Noah Steele, and now maybe to the outside of Ali Fonseca on the start-finish line here. But it's going to be third place good enough for Chris Stitz into one.
And he's certainly going to be looking to the outside here to around Noah Steele, trying to get as much of an advantage as he can on Ali Fonseca here into 3 and 4. Unfortunately, not able to clear the 8 and get as good of a corner entry as he wanted, but might be able to get a little bit of the power down, wrapping the outside here, and get a little bit of a run coming off the corner, as it looks like he looks down to the inside here, drives over the Geico restart zone here, and he's really looking, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to get there to the rear left quarter panel of Noah Steele.
Larry Yingling lost a couple of spots a moment or two ago, but he's kind of settled back out into a top 5 running spot as we approach lap number 50 of 160 out here tonight. Fuel run again about 60 laps. Drivers last down on pit road about lap number 20. So that tells us that we are about 30 laps away from a green flag pit stop, assuming that drivers stretch this all the way out to the stretch of the tank, if they decide to do that.
To the last drop.
To the last drop, yeah.
We're probably going to see a lot of drivers doing that, to be honest, especially with, if you can save the tires well enough, you know, stretching the fuel here might be a pretty good option, especially if a lot of people aren't sending it down pit lane and not a lot of cautions coming out. It might be the better option.
Ali Fonseca's kind of been the one car here tonight that will not go away in terms of battling for the race lead, and battle for the race lead is what he's doing. Contact with Thomas Green on the entry down into turn number 1. We're going to have a 3 wide situation. Noah Steele's going to take a look to the inside. We're going to be 3 wide on the entry into turn number 3 for the race lead.
I like that shot we had down the backstretch. You could really see how much speed the 8 car had there to send it on the inside of 3 and 4. Unfortunately, wasn't able to capitalize on the exit just because of how little track he had to run, but now he can think about different options to get past the 24. Seeing that the 24 is getting a little bit impatient with Thomas Green here, might be able to capitalize on either their battle or if a mistake is made from one of them.
Another thing that it does is it also logs a little memory node in the back of your mind, as you were just down there in turns 1 and 2, and Fonseca goes down there and makes a little bit of contact with you. So now if you're Thomas Green, you say, okay, got that noted. Next time we'll go down there and we'll make a little bit of an adjustment from both drivers to avoid future incidents. But big 3 wide battle for the race lead a moment ago. They've settled out back into a single file line with Thomas Green, Ali Fonseca, Noah Steele the top 3. Chris Stitz and Larry Yingling round out the top 5 as they run 52 laps in. Larry Yingling able to make his way around the fourth place car of Chris Stitz. Move 4th place up to driver number 67. He is back on the move towards the front of the field after losing a couple of spots. A couple of laps ago at the front of the field, it is still Thomas Green. Ali Fonseca still close in tow. But if these drivers continue to battle, they're going to be bringing Noah Steele right back into the camera shot like they just did a moment ago. So that's going to be something that they have to manage here, Chris.
Yeah, and you got to wonder if Ali might just be, or Ollie might be just looking in his rearview mirror. You know, might be a little bit nervous about that 8 car coming up on him and starting up a battle, because you don't really want to be in that position, especially in second here. You just want to focus up and see if you can run your line as good as possible, close as much of the gap as you can to first place. But you know, with a hungry Noah Steele behind you, you got to think about a few different things. You know, you can't just run your line.
Yeah, Noah Steele all over the back of the 24 Chevy Camaro through 3 and 4. Not able to do anything just yet. Now Noah Steele going to find company from Larry Yingling directly behind him. Chris Stitz not too far behind. That's the top 5 on the screen right now. Cedric Hunter, one of the bigger movers of tonight, up 9 spots from where he qualified. 15th out here tonight, and currently runs in the 6th place running position. As we work lap number 55 of 160, battle going to be for 2nd place. Steele on the inside of Fonseca by the time they get down to turn number 1. Going to be a little bit of contact by the time they hit the apex.
You know, he's been studying this for the past couple of laps, trying to see what advantage he can get, where he can make the move, and he almost made the move into 1 and 2, but now he's still alongside into 3 and 4, and this is the corner where there's real finesse. So as long as he can get the corner down and get the power off smooth as possible, might be able to get the position out of Ollie here, but I can't tell on the outside there, unfortunately.
No, they are super close. They're about as close as you want to possibly be, and Ollie's going to slide it down right across the nose of the 8 through 1 and 2, and they're going to make more contact on the exit of turn number 2. If they keep doing this for too long, that's going to bring Chris Stitz into the picture here. Chris Stitz now into the battle for 2nd place, and they've got a train of cars right behind them here, Chris.
Yeah, you can see Chris Stitz's bumper just peeking there in the backstretch cam, and now, like you said, you've got a whole gaggle of cars coming up behind them. The battle is holding up the pack, and you know that's not really what you want to see as Ali Fonseca. This is exactly what Thomas Green wants to see, though. He can just sit up there and run as much of the line as he wants, save as much tires as he wants, and really just Sunday drive while these few back here battle it out.
Oh yeah, if you're Thomas Green, you love to see this. Thomas Green has opened up a 1.2 second lead over 2nd place, which is now up for grabs. Cedric Hunter is going to take a look to the inside, send that Toyota Supra down to the bottom on the inside of Ali Fonseca. New battle for 2nd place. Cedric Hunter makes his way up towards the front.
and you can see Cedric was able to get the power down pretty well in 1 and 2, get the car turned, and he's able to keep alongside into 3 and 4 down the back stretch, and that puts Ollie in a kind of difficult position here, especially with the car hunting down behind you. You're really kind of forced to give up the position, I'd say. If I were Ollie, I would kind of just slot in behind Cedric, try to not battle him as much and keep these cars at bay behind. But we see he's doing exactly not that, trying to get the position right back, and Cedric's doing a great job defending it.
I tell you what, I think this is a great showing of just how dominant the outside is in terms of defending. Ali Fonseca has had multiple contenders down there on the inside line. Now Cedric Hunter, he may just be clear of the nose of the 24 by the time they get off of turn number 4, but it took multiple laps. Multiple drivers took to the bottom shelf of the Speedway, unable to complete the pass. Now the roles are reversed. Cedric Hunter takes the outside with Fonseca. He takes a crossover at the start-finish line. They're going to be side by side on the exit of turn number 2. Fonseca now on the inside.
Side by side they are. You see the 24's trying to get as much air packed onto that rear right of the 7 as he can, get as much of his advantage into the corner, and they seem to get a little bit of contact off the corner. The 24 is forced to get out of it a little bit. The 7 gets a little loose, able to keep it, and now you see Ollie under fire from Noah Steele having to come right up the track for a block. And this is not what Ollie wanted to see. This is the difficult position that I was talking about, and now you're focused on the people behind you in front instead of the cars in front of you.
Yeah, you got to play both defense and offense simultaneously, and sometimes it's easy to misalign when you're doing that. New name at the top 5, top 6 back here. Christopher Norris started 17th out here tonight, currently runs in the 6th place running position through this gaggle of cars that has held kind of everybody up. A little bit of a 3 wide situation here. That has allowed the 38 of Christopher Norris, that plain white Ford Mustang, to come up to the back half of the top 5.
Yeah, and if you're Christopher Norris, you've got your teammate on the outside here and Ollie in the middle, and you really could work with your teammate here and keep Ollie in the bad position here to make both of you advance up the track, and seems like both of them are doing exactly that, just trying to keep Ollie in the bad position. And unfortunately, Ollie is getting the worst break out of all of this here.
Our first driver to hit pit lane is going to be Chris Stitz. Chris Stitz, that driver number 17, he's going to come down on pit road for what we will call a scheduled stop for service, maybe a little bit early, but drivers know that they can't make it on fuel, assuming that this race runs green. So this now puts a little bit of fuel mileage into the play here. Figure that they can run probably another 60 laps or so. That'll give Chris Stitz about a 40-lap run to the finish. We'll see if any of the other drivers answer the call, but Chris Stitz, the one and only driver on pit road.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. I don't think we really got a clear saying of how long a fuel run really is here, and that puts a lot of a question into how a lot of these drivers are driving. I'd assume it's probably around a 55, 60 lap fuel run, like you were saying. So it's probably coming up to around that in the next 15 laps, I want to say. So you're probably going to see a lot of drivers coming down here.
I tell you what, Cedric Hunter, he was able to clear this gaggle of cars, the battle for second. He was the first one to get through it, and he has cut that lead in half. Thomas Green now just over a second in front of second place Cedric Hunter, and quickly closing for Hunter into Thomas Green now.
I'm telling you, man, it's that clean air. As soon as you're able to get past the group and the pressure of being around so many drivers, you can just focus on running your line and keeping your tires good, getting the grip down as much as possible. And I think that's what Cedric's doing here, able to close up some of that gap here to Thomas Green.
Eyes currently on Ollie Fonseca, who has slid back to the 8th place running position. Brandon Gass still runs in 17th. The monkey in the middle between himself and 2 lead lap vehicles. Clint Cox directly behind him. Ollie Fonseca directly in front of him, as Ollie Fonseca is going to come onto pit road, as does our race leader, Thomas Green.
Yeah, and that's going to definitely pull some people down into pit lane, seeing the leader go down, and you got to wonder if this is the time. If this is the time, then you're going to see a lot of people cycling through and a lot of fanning out between the cars, have their own battles and stuff. So it's you know, the pit cycle part of the race is definitely the most interesting, especially at a track like Kentucky.
Well, it's also an opportunity for mistakes to happen. This pit road, very unforgiving in terms of how you have to get on pit road. That time by, it looks like everybody's going to stay out on the racing surface. Didn't see anybody take to the pit road. Actually, Chris Stamper came in back on the outside of the top 10. Chris Stamper, the only one to take to pit road on lap number 69. All right.
We see here how much of a comfortable lead that Cedric has behind Noah Steele, but here, go ahead there.
I was going to say, all right, so Cedric Hunter currently with the race lead, got about 2 seconds over Noah Steele. Battles starting to happen back here just a little bit. Mark Labertone comes onto pit road. Now it's going to be interesting here, Chris, because let's try to keep track of it. The Trinity Racing League loves to split their fuel mileage races to make us stay busy up here to try to keep track of it all. Chris Stitz came down on lap number 63. He currently leads Thomas Green and Ali Fonseca. So Chris Stitz effectively jumps them on this round of green flag pit stops, but he's going to have about 4 lap older tires, and he is only about 1.5 seconds in front of Thomas Green, who came down from the race lead.
Yeah, you know, and that's hard to think about as like an overseeing eye of this race. It's hard to think about where the best point to pit would be. You know, there's a few different strategies there that could work, but having 4 lap older tires, you know, is kind of something that might not be what you want, but if you can save them pretty well and stay out of trouble, stay out of aggressive battles, and you might be all right having those 4 lap better tires, older tires. Sorry about that.
Larry Yingling comes down onto pit road. That passes the race lead tentatively over to Nolan Hicks, with Scott Rickard in second. Christopher Norris currently the top 3. It's going to be the top 7 right now that have stayed out on track. This is also an opportunity for a yellow flag to fly and for it to catch some people a lap down, but you could just see the speed difference. Thomas Green coming like he's in a 5th gear in that Chevy Camaro back there as he works his way up towards the race leaders here. He's going to take a look down to Scott Rickard, not for position, but to get his lap back, get back on the lead lap in case the yellow flag does come.
Yeah, and yeah, like you were saying, you see Chris Stitz and Thomas Green just coming through, and how big of the difference the tires are here, especially in even just 1 and 2. I can imagine it's even crazier in 3 and 4 with the speed difference, but you're going to probably see a bunch of drivers come down pit lane as you see Nolan Hicks drop down here. You're probably going to see a few more drivers in the next, I want to say, 10 laps here. Maybe even 7.
Nolan Hicks makes his way onto pit road from the race lead. That passes over to Scott Rickard, the race lead. Clint Cox currently runs in second. He's a couple of cars back. He's got Brandon Gass and Ali Fonseca separating him between himself and second place. Looks like Scott's going to come down onto pit road maybe this time. Nope, looks like he's going to stay out another lap. I thought he was committing to pit road there. He's going to stay out to lead a lap here. Something else these drivers got to also think about here, Chris. We've got the halfway bonus point coming up, and that halfway bonus point could be the difference between a championship and not.
Yeah, absolutely. Every bonus point you can get is what if I'm a driver out there, I'm trying to get as many bonus points as I can. So like you were saying, the 1 point difference could be the little bit of a difference between a championship or not. So a lot of opportunities for bonus points out here in the Trinity Racing League.
All right, on board with the race leader, Scott Rickard. He's going to come down onto pit road. He's going to get it woed down to 50 miles an hour at the yellow cone. Scott Rickard gets on to pit road without any sort of penalties. That passes the race lead over to Clint Cox. Second place now belongs to Josh Sawyer. Third is Josh Kanata. Now, if I'm Clint Cox, obviously he's going to make his way onto pit road this time. I was thinking maybe he would try to stay out, lead some laps, get some bonus points, maybe try to sneak away with that halfway bonus point coming into tonight's race. 25 points down, 16th out of 16 championship eligible drivers, but it's going to pass the race lead over to a name that we haven't said a whole lot this season, not even this race, but this season, Chris. Josh Sawyer currently the race leader, inherits it over Josh Kanata.
You know, it's a good opportunity to get a little bit of an extra point here, even if he may not be in the playoffs here, but he's countering what I'm saying going down pit road here. So probably just looking to get a little bit more of an advantage on the tires here as Josh Kanata comes across and is the effective race leader here.
All right, so Kanata's going to get a bonus point for leading lap number 77 as we begin lap number 78. This Toyota Supra out front, one of the main administrators here in the Trinity Racing League, always allows us to be here every single week here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. This is race number 15 of 18. Got just a handful of races remaining in the Trinity Racing League schedule. Next week we'll be at Watkins Glen, followed by Phoenix Raceway, and then we're going to settle a championship at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the coming weeks. It looks like our field has made their round of green flag pit stops right before the halfway marker of tonight's race.
As we see Thomas Green crossing the start finish here on lap 79, getting past Josh Kanata out of pit lane here, being the effective race leader. He's got Chris Stitz only about half a second behind him. He's going to be hunting, trying to close that gap down and get that position a little bit closer to him.
Thomas Green is 1.5 miles away from the bonus award as he's got a half a second lead over Chris Stitz. Chris Stitz came down a handful of laps earlier than Thomas Green, so the tire advantage currently to the driver, the number 3.
The number 3 passes the start finish line here at lap 80, and that brings us to our halfway bonus sponsor of Apex 50. If you're looking for a fun and reliable sim racing content creator, SG_race, and as you covered, if you check out Sam Garcia on YouTube at Apex 50 on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or Twitch.
Bonus point awarded to Thomas Green here as we cross the halfway marker of tonight's race here at the Colonel 160 here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. We're going to step away for just a moment. We'll keep you here with all the racing action over the next handful of laps, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on. Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
We welcome you back to the Colonel 160, still green flag racing out here. Lap number 89 of 160 about to become lap number 90. Thomas Green still the race leader, but now up for grabs. Cedric Hunter has made his way up to the battle for the race lead. On the outside, Cedric Hunter takes a look. This is a battle for the race lead. Noah Steele currently runs in third. The top five is rounded out by Ali Fonseca and Chris Stitz as we approach the second half of tonight's race here at Kentucky.
And it looks to be heating up between the 3 and the number 7 here. The 7's able to get below Thomas Green here at the exit of 4 and trying to get as much as he can out of the exit. But it's just like that constant dominance of the high line being defensive is what we've been talking about all night. And Thomas Green just sits there and is able to be defensive, but not sure if it's going to be enough here coming out of 2.
Yeah, Cedric Hunter looks to take a look to the inside, and he's going to be stuck on the inside on the exit of turn number 2. Working lap number 91 of 160 drivers for the majority of these drivers came down anywhere between lap number 65 and 70. So that is going to bring them to, I guess, about 120 to 130 here, Chris. But I got to imagine the fuel runs about 60 laps here. I mean, they're going to almost have to run this almost entirely dry to split this run. Am I thinking about that right?
No, absolutely. Yeah, you're gonna have to run this dry. If you don't want to run it dry, then you come in around like 120. But even then, that's kind of risking it. But you're probably gonna want to run it as dry as possible.
Cedric Hunter takes over the race lead. He's gonna get a bonus point, up 14 spots. Biggest mover of the night, new race leader, Cedric Hunter in that Toyota Supra. The winner of the in-season tournament here in the Trinity Racing League picked up $25. Courtesy of Josh Kanata and Nick Crawford here in the Trinity Racing League. Back at, I believe it was Dover Motor Speedway that they finalized that at. And Cedric Hunter looking to get his first win of the season. Had a couple of podiums so far this season, but looking to find victory lane for the first time out here in race number 15 of 18 for the Trinity Racing League. Tonight may just be the night. That Toyota Supra looking good, the only Toyota up in the top 5.
Yeah, and you can see he's making that gap larger between him and the 3 car. And it's funny that you mentioned he's the only Toyota up here. You know, maybe they've got something down their sleeve.
Cedric Hunter has extended his race lead now to just about 3/4 of a second between himself and now second place Thomas Green. Noah Steele has about 3 lap better tires than the driver in front of him of Thomas Green. So this gap may start to close just a little bit. Ali Fonseca directly behind them. He's on the same lap as Thomas Green, so a little bit of a tire disadvantage there. Next driver with any sort of tire advantage, you got to go all the way back down to 6th place. Nolan Hicks currently runs in 6th. Some battles back here for a top 5 running position. Nolan Hicks on the inside trying to make his way around and defend from Chris Stitz as Chris Norris gets up there, and he's going to do some battles as well. Christopher Norris has a quiet night out here tonight so far. No incidents for the driver, the number 38, that white Ford Mustang, looking to fight his way into the top 5. He's got a couple of lap better tires here as we approach lap number 100.
He's able to get below Chris Stitz here, and the battle of the Chris's again here, right behind Nolan Hicks, and it's able to get by him in 1 and 2 pretty easily, actually. And you gotta wonder, maybe it's a little bit of patience happening for some of these drivers at this point in the race. You know, if I was down there, I would probably want to be a little bit patient around now, save as much tire as I can, gain as much time as I can. Maybe not position, but I don't know. Being patient about now is probably the best bet.
Well, you never know when the next caution flag is going to fly out here tonight, Chris. Only 1 caution per incident. That, again, was on lap number 20 earlier this evening. Caution that involved Brandon Gass, Cody Reed, Ryan Kelly, Aaron Krolick, and a couple of other drivers out here tonight in the early goings of tonight's race. Involved some championship contenders out here as we approach lap number 100 out here. It's a fine line to walk because we saw the caution fly early and it kind of fell into Larry's hands on lap number 20. He went through the field and maybe burned up his tires a little bit more than what he wanted to, but that yellow flag brought him right back up to the race lead and then kind of neutralized everybody on the same set of Goodyear Eagles. So you never know when that next yellow flag is going to fly.
Yeah, and it certainly can help or really gut some of these drivers out here tonight. But speaking of Larry Yingling, he's unfortunately dropped down to 9th here on this cycle. You got to wonder maybe if he's doing a little bit of what I was talking about here, a little bit of the tire saving, but not sure here out tonight. But back to battles here up towards the front. Noah Steele's looking to put a little pressure on Thomas Green, and he's getting a little bit of a time here into 3 and 4, a little closing that gap little by little. He might be setting up the pass here, trying to study as much as he can and see where he can capitalize the most here on the 3 car.
Riding on the rear deck lid of Thomas Green, it seems like a prime opportunity to give a shout out to the title sponsor of the Trinity Racing League, and that is, of course, Larry Arts Productions. It's a comedy variety YouTube channel with content ranging from stop motion videos, vlogs, live streams, and more. Check out all the insanity Larry produces on YouTube today at Larry Arts Productions on YouTube. Larry's logo on the back of Thomas Green's deck lid here every single week throughout the Trinity Racing League. These drivers supporting the sponsors that allow us to be here every single Monday night and put on a great show here from the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network.
Yeah, thank you, sponsors. We always love you out here at Cyber.
Thomas Green now gets a little bit of heat start to be put on him. Noah Steele has closed that gap just a little bit. He's got about 3 lap better tires than Thomas Green directly in front of him. Noah Steele not yet able to close the gap too much. So we're working lap number 103. That'll give us 56 laps to go next time they cross the start-finish line. Cedric Hunter is walked away with a 1.6, make it a 1.7 second lead by the time they see lap 104.
And, it's coming to the back third of this race here. And, like I was saying, it's kind of hard to as a driver, it's kind of hard to think about where if you want to be patient here or if you want to push a little bit, because like Tom was saying, you kind of don't know when a caution is going to come out. So I don't know. It's hard to think about as a driver here. Me personally, like I was saying before, I would probably want to be a little bit patient here, but especially with that big gap forming between Cedric and Thomas, I'm not sure he has the option to be.
So if you're one of these drivers here, Chris, let's say that you came down on lap number 70. That's about the average of the field here. That allows you to run to about 130. You can make it from, I guess you can make it from about here because you do have about 60 laps on your fuel. You're one of these drivers, if you're running back towards, I don't know, say Christopher Norris, Clint Cox, Chris Stitz back there, 4, 5, 6 seconds back. When do you make your way down onto pit road to try to become the first one to gain with the tires?
Well, I'd say probably about now with this caution coming out. but to be honest, if the green flag stayed out, I probably would have just ran the tank dry if I were them.
Brandon Gass involved in this incident, as does Mark Labertone also gets involved. We'll back this up and we'll take a look, but 2 drivers at least being shown with an incident here. Brandon Gass having a night that he would like to forget out here. Let's take a look and see what happens. Brandon Gass behind the yellow number 42 of Mark Labertone. That's Josh Kanata in the purple and white Toyota Supra on the inside. This is, I'll say that this is on the entry to turn number 3. I may be mistaken about that. Brandon Gass looks to the outside of the 42 here, and there's just going to be contact between those two. We're going to need another few looks from those. All right, on board here with Brandon Gass. Let's get a better look here. This is going to be the entry down to turn number 1. I have to stand corrected. Mark Labertone maybe sliding up just a little bit here, but Brandon Gass kind of just goes for a spot that I guess was there originally, but wasn't there for long.
Yeah, it was definitely closing up. I think Mark was sliding up the track a little bit, maybe a result of some worn tires, but Brandon kind of sensed it and looked for that gap. You know, I get it, seeing that gap and wanting to go past. But you know, it's the start of the corner. You see the gap is there, but you don't know how the car in front of you is going to react to the actual corner. So I'm not sure if sending it to that tile gap was the best idea, unfortunately. But as you can see, is the result of that is a little bit of an accident here. Hopefully not too much damage for either of these cars to keep them going. But we saw the 42 have a little bit of damage on the right front of that car.
The entire field is making their way both on and off of pit road. Let's get you over to our pit road. Cedric Hunter going to win the race off of pit road over Thomas Green, Ali Fonseca, Nolan Hicks. And then it's a drag race between Christopher Norris and Clint Cox on the exit of pit road. And Chris, I tell you what, we were just talking about fuel strategy and when do you pit, and now I think it turns into how do you save the tires here, because everybody can make it on fuel, but we haven't seen anybody push it all the way on a fuel run here, and that's what it's going to have to be.
Yeah, and I think he brought up the perfect example there of it turning straight into a tire race right after that. You know, we were thinking about fuel just now towards the end of the race, but now that the caution's out, everybody's gonna be equalized on fuel, and like you were saying, everybody can make it. So it's gonna be up to these drivers to really preserve the tires and get as much speed as possible out of these cars in the back half of this race here.
From one extreme to the other, that's where we go, is the lights are still on. We expect to see them maybe extinguished this time as the field's going to choose. Cedric Hunter elects to take the inside. Thomas Green takes the outside. Drivers allowed to choose whether they want to start on the inside or the outside for the restarts here in the Trinity Racing League. Not something that's very common here on the iRacing service, but it certainly gives a unique play to the Trinity Racing League, allowing drivers to choose the lane that they want to restart in. Any surprises from you, Chris, to see Cedric take the inside lane here after we've seen people use the top side for defense?
Honestly, I think being on the inside here on new tires is kind of the right choice, especially because 1 and 2. I think you have a little bit more of an advantage on the bottom of 1 and 2, especially on a restart. You can go full throttle on the outside as well, but the car might feel a little bit looser. I think the bottom line is the best choice here, especially if you can get a little bit of speed off the corner and maybe duck up to the outside of 3 and 4, or run the bottom of 3 and 4 pretty tight.
Well, we're about to find out how this restart goes. The control car going to be Cedric Hunter on the inside lane. Thomas Green on the outside lane. He's going to have Ali Fonseca on the outside of row number 2 behind him. Nolan Hicks starts in third. Into the restart zone we go. Cedric Hunter is going to be the first one to hit the loud pedal and bring us back up to the restart. Cedric Hunter down and away. Thomas Green stays kind of even with him at the start-finish line, but the advantage is going to be to Hunter by the time they get to 1.
Yeah, pretty good jump here for the 7 car, able to clear the top line into 1 and 2, and you know he's gonna have that advantage into the bottom of the corner here. It's all up to see if he can guard the high line, block the 3's run to the corner, and you know he puts the car in a great position there into the corner, drives it right in the middle of the track, kind of makes the 3 have to think about where he needs to go into the corner, but to no prevail, the 3 is able to go around the outside and able to make the room he needs to make the pass.
Thomas Green able to make the pass on the outside lane there, uses the momentum and the higher RPMs on the exit of turn number 2 to take the lead. Cedric Hunter going to lose 2 spots on this restart. Now he's in danger of losing a 3rd one to Nolan Hicks. But 2nd place now belongs to Ali Fonseca, who sets his sights on that number 3 directly in front.
And we know that Ollie's been hungry all night with how he was in the beginning of the race. He was up here in 2nd place, I believe, but fortunately was put into a bad position to where he was dropping back. So, you know, he's going to be real hungry to get that position back to where he wants to belong.
He really is, Chris. And now, you know, we just kind of mentioned it right before the restart. This is the point of the race. Is this the final yellow flag of the night? Drivers do have 3 attempts at an overtime finish out here tonight. If it is the final attempt if this is the final yellow flag of tonight and we don't have another opportunity to come down onto pit road, do drivers split this? They're going to have less than 50 laps to go now. Do they try to split this? Do they try to save the tires? We know that they can make it on fuel, It's not about the fuel at this point. It's going to be about the tires. Keep an eye on drivers, maybe like the 67, maybe like the 7, maybe like the 38, that maybe kind of just ride in their spots for right now while the rest of the field battles out.
Absolutely, and if I'm one of them drivers, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just riding out in these last few laps here, just to see as much as of an advantage as I can with the tires here. As we see a little bit of contact between the 24 and the 3 here on the front stretch. Ollie's being really defensive into the corner, doesn't want to give the 3 any sort of advantage to the bottom of the track. Moving him up here, trying to see if he can keep the inside of the corner to himself and maybe compromise the 3, exit a little bit, get him up into the wall and make him have to lift a little bit, but not able to do so here. Not able to clear the 24 here, as we see even more contact into 3 and 4. And Thomas Green's able to prevail here and clear the 24 and keep his position.
Again, that outside lane is the defensive line of the evening. Thomas Green able to maintain the race lead. Ali Fonseca with a little bit of contact there between himself and the race leader of Green, but it's all for naught as Thomas Green is able to maintain the lead. Now Ali Fonseca, he's going to have to restack and repack and try it again, as he is now about 0.3 of a second back.
Yeah, definitely got to put a little bit more studying into my overtakes there. If I'm Ollie, you know, like I'm almost there. I'm right there. I've almost got him, but just got to put that little bit more of adjustment in just to be able to get that position and take the lead away from him. As we see the 67 here, he's getting a good run on Nolan Hicks here, able to take that position from him in 1 and 2. Now he's going into 3 and 4 in that high groove, seeing if he can get that run off the corner that's been helping everybody out here tonight. I'm telling you, the downhill is super good here at Kentucky, and you can see a lot of drivers using that outside lane to their advantage and taking advantage of it.
Larry Yingling able to make his way around Nolan Hicks, take a 3rd spot away from the driver of the 86. Now he's going to take a look to the outside of the 24. That's going to be Fonseca on the inside, with Yingling up on the outside. Maybe Nolan Hicks with an opportunity to sneak by and also steal 3rd place away from Ali Fonseca. 2 spots down in 1 lap for Fonseca. Now the 2nd one's up for grabs.
And we're kind of seeing a mirror image of that first caution of the race. You know, Ali was good off the restart, and unfortunately it's starting to just drop down as the tires start to heat up and get a little bit of wear into them. You know, and you gotta wonder if maybe drivers, you know, like Larry Yingling, like Nolan Hicks, like Cedric Hunter, if they're taking their time with their tires and trying to use as much of an advantage as they can to keep the wear in check.
Replay here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Contact between Ali Fonseca, Nolan Hicks on their way down into turn number 1. That could have been big, and maybe a little bit more contact on the exit of turn number 2. But Ali Fonseca on the inside. A little bit of a door check there. A little bit of a hey, how you do? And then I do believe they're going to make a little bit more on the exit of 2, and yes, they will. Going to bring us back to the live action here from the Colonel 160. Thomas Green has just over 0.3 of a second to 2nd place Larry Yingling, and then from there it's anybody's guess. Ali Fonseca tries to defend. Cedric Hunter back there, Scott Rickards up there, Noah Steele's also going to be up there, Clint Cox also in this mess, as well as is Chris Stitz and Chris Norris for the back half of the top 10.
Yeah, and this huge kerfuffle of cars here are definitely trying to battle it out and definitely see what they can do here to figure it out here in these closing laps. You don't want to drive too hard here and ruin up the tires, especially at a track like Kentucky. So it's kind of a hard position to be in as one of these drivers here, as we see the 8 car in the middle of this 3-wide battle of Clint Cox as well as Chris Stitz.
I don't know that any of these drivers back here, Chris, are saving tires as we approach the 40 lap to go mark out here this evening. Thomas Green, Larry Yingling, Nolan Hicks, those are the top 3 as they run right now. But these drivers getting at it anywhere you look here on this Monday night from the Trinity Racing League for race number 15 of 18, round number 2 of the playoffs. Just 3 more races remain after tonight.
Yeah, I think my predictions have been pretty false here in these last few laps, because you're seeing a ton of battling here in these last few laps. You see Lara on the outside of this 3-wide battle here, trying to get as much speed as he can out of the corner to see if he can clear the 24 on the exit and maybe get out of this little gaggle of cars. But nobody's giving up. Nobody's giving up. Everybody's still keeping their spot, keeping it clean in their battle too, trying to gain as much position as they can on everybody. But you've got a whole pack of cars behind you, but they have nowhere to go. As we see some trouble building up behind them, Christopher Norris is able to save it though, and I believe that was Clint Cox that got into him, but able to clean it up there and keep all the cars facing the right direction here, and more contact into 1 and 2 for first place.
These drivers able to keep it pointed in the right direction, but they are leaning on each other out here tonight, as they have been doing for the first 122 laps of tonight's event. Some great racing that we're seeing out here tonight at Kentucky Speedway. It's Thomas Green at the front of the field. The battle for second place up for grabs, with Nolan Hicks on the outside, Cedric Hunter on the inside. Cedric is one of those cars, Chris, that we saw really come to life on the back end of the long run, in the second run there, before we saw the green flag stops. We saw Cedric Hunter be one of the only cars that could run down to 3, and now guess what? With 35 laps to go, he's found himself where? In second.
Absolutely. And as a driver who is good on the long run, this is kind of where I want to be. This is exactly where I want to be. I got a little bit of a gap to the driver behind me. I made my move, and now I'm kind of in a position where I can just hold my line and preserve as much as I can. And once I get towards the end of the race is where I'm going to push. And we saw him do that last stage, well, not really last stage, but last long run, and he was able to capitalize. So this is probably a great spot for the number 7 to be in.
It really is. I think the only danger that maybe he may be in here is staying behind Thomas Green for too long. Obviously, if you can pass, you want to make the pass, right? But using too much dirty air on the front nose of that Toyota Supra and burning up your tires more than you realize, even if you're not necessarily pushing the car is driving differently, because you got the air that's being packed onto the front of the nose off of the number 3 directly in front of you. And I think that may be the only challenge here that Cedric Hunter is going to have here. But he is quickly closing in to the battle for the race lead, now under 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, and I think that's a point that not many drivers really think about, to be honest. So like you think about it and you feel it in the moment, like, oh, the car's driving differently right behind somebody, but you don't really think about the actual wear that's going into it. Like there's a lot more turning that needs to be done with the car when you're right behind somebody. So if you're putting more wheel into it, you're definitely burning up those front tires more than you want. And it's you really got to drive the car differently when you're right behind someone compared to in cleaner.
32 laps to go. That's what we have this time by. We're on board with Noah Steele. We're taking a very close look at Chris Stitz down there on the inside line, trying to make the pass. This would be a pass for the 5th place running position. That outside line still defending as well as it has been all night. But in the rear view, you've got Scott Richter coming up and filling that spot. Christopher Norris maybe taking a look on the outside of Chris Stitz. Larry Engling also trying to slide in there. And the battle for the race lead is starting to heat up. Cedric Hunter has closed in on the back bumper of Thomas Green.
Yeah, but like you were saying, it seems to be pretty. The difference in relative seems to be kind of spiking a little bit here as he gets behind him with the dirty air. You got to wonder if it's a little more difficult for him to get some of the turn in from that corner. But he kind of disregards my statement there into 3 and 4 as he gets a great run onto the back end of the 3, and he's able to send it down there into 1 and 2.
He's able to send it down there into 1 and 2, but it's not going to stick. Thomas Green able to maintain the race lead by the time they exit turn number 2, but Cedric Hunter comes with a big run gets some momentum. Thomas Green has to get out of the gas just a little bit on the entry into turn number 3. They're going to be side by side, almost make contact by the time they get into turn number 3, but at the exit, it's still going to be Green at the start finish line, but by a nose.
By just barely a nose there. You know, you could see Cedric wanted that air on that lap, but he's not going to be patient here in these upcoming laps, especially with only 30 to go here. He's right here on the inside on the backstretch, and he's going to try to get as good as of entry into this corner as he can, just to get that little bit of an advantage as he needs on the 3 car.
Well, neither one of these drivers can afford to really be patient at this point, because if you look up in the rearview mirror, we're going to have a 3rd car join this battle in the next handful of laps unless they get sorted out. Nolan Hicks has been considerably faster than both of these drivers. That time by over a 10th faster for the 86. All these drivers came down on lap number 106. But Cedric Hunter able to take the race lead on the exit of turn number 2. Now it's going to be interesting to see if he's able to, 1, if he's able to walk away, and 2, if Nolan Hicks is able to find his way up to the 3 and also pass him.
And, you know, if I'm Nolan Hicks, it's not really what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the 7 and the 3 battle a little bit more to gain some position, because, you know, with how quick that gap was closing, it shows how important it is to run the entire track here at Kentucky. You know, you've got a pretty wide track here, and especially in 3 and 4, and it's so important to use as every inch as you can on the track just to get as much speed as you can out of the car. So it definitely is a big showing as what can happen when your line's compromised, when you don't have as much room to run, and it really sacrifices a lot of time here.
That time by, Cedric Hunter is able to lead that lap, and at the start finish line, even lap times for Cedric Hunter and Nolan Hicks. Thomas Green a little bit slower than the 2, the 1st and the 3rd place car as they run right now that last time by. So we'll see how these final 27 laps play out of tonight's race here at the Colonel 160. We'll be back next week, as we have always been. We're going to be doing some left and right turns. We'll be up in the Finger Lakes region next week at Watkins Glen, our first and only road course of the playoffs. And then in 2 weeks' time, we'll be at Phoenix Raceway. And then, as previously mentioned, our final race of the Trinity Racing League season will be at Las Vegas Motor Speedway to determine a champion.
Yeah, and I said it before, but that's such a great track for these guys to end on, especially with how great the racing has been throughout the season that I've been on board. And it's gonna be a pretty awesome race to figure out the championship driver here.
It really is. I mean, Las Vegas, you can use really any line there. It provides great door-to-door racing. It provides some great tire wear as well. So it's going to be a fun race to watch. And I know these drivers look to go into Las Vegas without, I mean, if you can go in there and have a little bit of a buffer, that would certainly be best, because who knows what's going to happen at the end of that race. All right, Chris, we are within 25 laps to go out here. Thomas Green tries to chase down. What's going on with Nolan Hicks? Nolan Hicks, that looks like a hardware failure of some sort. I'm not entirely sure, but Nolan Hicks took a hard left-hand turn down the backstretch. That deserves another look. Let's find out what happens here to Nolan on the backstretch. He's going to be... He's just going to turn left.
I kind of want to see that on the onboard, because we get a good picture of his wheel there, but it kind of looks like just a hardware failure with the car.
I don't know. He still had control of the car. You could still hear that he's got throttle input. He's still controlling the wheel. I am beyond baffled as to what may have happened on that one, but
a little bit confusing.
Yeah, definitely. If you were Noah Steele or Scott Rickard back there, you had a great sight of what just happened there. All right, so we were just saying that we were trying to turn this into a 3-car battle for the race lead. Now, almost within 20 laps to go, it is a 2-car battle for the race lead. Cedric Hunter, Thomas Green, just within a half a second of each other, and the laps are closing.
Yeah, definitely not what Nolan Hicks wanted to happen there, and it's really unfortunate because like we were saying during that replay, it definitely looked like a hardware failure there. And, you know, that's definitely not what you want to see when you're in third place with the gap somewhat closing. It's kind of a hard position to be put into now.
That time by, as they come across the start-finish line, we'll take a look at the last times on the scoring chart. Cedric Hunter, about 6/100ths of a second better. Ali Fonseca, the fastest of the 3 leaders, but about 2 seconds back, so maybe too little, too late for Ali Fonseca. Time will tell as the laps begin to close down out here tonight. Inside 20 laps to go from the Colonel 160. Quick little housekeeping note on Nolan Hicks. Nolan Hicks stayed on the track, didn't make any contact with anybody or anything. Keeps that Toyota Supra moving in the right direction. Now finds himself on the outside of the top 5. He currently runs in 6th, but a weird looking situation there in a scenario for the number 86 there, Chris. Not sure I've seen something like that.
Yeah, and if I were in his position, I would definitely be a little bit upset, but you know, we've got 18 to go. He's still within the top 10, and you know, it's upsetting, but you're still in the top 10, you know, so I can't be too upset over it.
I guess I have to take that back. A couple of weeks ago, you and I were racing together at Watkins Glen, and my dog decided to jump up on my lap while we were racing at Watkins Glen. And I don't know if you've ever tried to race with your dog on your lap at a road course, but it's not easy. So it could have just been something as simple as that, but it's one of those things that you're like, oh man, why did that happen in the moment? But it's a fun story afterwards.
I've never had Sage hop up on me while I'm driving, and hopefully that day does not happen, because I know I would definitely wreck the car. But Watkins Glen, I mean, I don't even want to be reminded of that race, to be honest. That was a very interesting race, especially for me. But getting back to this one here, Cedric's ended up opening up almost a second gap here on Thomas Green with only 16 to go here. And if I'm the 7, I'm real comfortable now. You know, I'm seeing the gap grow in the rear view. I just got to focus on running my line great and just stay consistent. That's really just all that's going to happen here.
Gotta, though, wonder if Thomas Green is intentionally maybe running a little bit slower to save the tires. I mean, 16, make it 15 laps to go around this speedway. It's a mile and a half. These are some long laps in terms of a mile and a half around here. And I mean, we've seen drivers close the distance by the time the back half of the run comes along. So we'll see if maybe Thomas Green doing a little bit of tire strategy out here. If I'm Cedric Hunter, I'm probably thinking about backing it up maybe just a quarter of a second or so, a tenth of a second, just in case Thomas is saving a little bit, because you never know if he's going to be making a late charge with 10 or so laps to go.
Yeah, especially with how quick Thomas is dropping back. I think Cedric's got to think about that one and maybe back up each of the corners, like you were saying, maybe a quarter of a second, maybe even less than that. But you know, with how quick the relative was dropping, you got to wonder if Thomas is purposely driving slow, letting off through the corners a little bit, get a little bit less wear into the tires here.
On board with the former race leader Thomas Green. That time by into turn number 3. It did seem like he let off the gas maybe a little bit earlier than anticipated. Down into turn number 1, he's going to send that Chevy Camaro down here, hug that line through the apex of 1 and 2. But he seems very intentional about his inputs right now. Doesn't seem to be pushing it too far and too hard in that number 3.
He seems to have turn 3 and 4 pretty down pat here in these last closing laps of the race, and you got to wonder if maybe if Cedric's just got the corners just a little bit better, a little bit down pat, a little bit better than the 3 here, or if just if it's just a more dominant showing from that car here.
We're going to keep a close eye on the battle for the race lead. If it starts to heat up, we're going to bring you right back up to it. Got a battle happening back here on the back half of the top 10. Christopher Norris makes his way around Clint Cox. Chris Stitz finds his way up towards this mix as well. Mike Miller had an issue earlier tonight, but has fought his way back up to 12th place as this battle continues to rage on, as we're going to see 10 laps to go next time by.
And Clint's not going to want to give up any more of those spots to the cars behind him. He already had 2 go right by him on the inside. He's going to want to try to get one of those positions back, maybe even both. But you've got 3 hungry cars behind you as well. It's not what you want to see in your rearview mirror.
And if I'm Cedric Hunter, I don't know that this is happening back here, but I'm hoping that these drivers manage to keep it pointed in the right direction. The last thing that I want to see at this point in the race is a yellow flag. But we will see how these final 10 laps, 15 miles of racing go along out here tonight. But these drivers getting at it. This group kind of being led by Chris Stitz here, maybe Chris Norris, depending on who you want to see as the lead car. Mike Miller is going to make contact with the outside wall. Sam Garcia and Josh Sawyer are going to get through without issue.
Yeah, and that was a really close call for them in the back, because there's more contact happening. The 50 as well as I believe that's the 19 of Josh Sawyer just barely getting through there. The 99 bounced off the wall a little bit and got into the 50, and it was definitely a little bit of a scary situation for those 3, but I'm glad they were able to sort it out here.
I don't know that they're done here yet, Chris. They continue to race side by side. This is a battle for position. Sam Garcia currently runs in 12th. Sawyer in 13th. Miller in 14th. Miller is fallen back about 5 car lanes here. Now it's a 2-car battle for what would be the 12th place position. Let's jump on around here, find other battles happening out on the speedway. Larry Yingling, he's being chased down quickly by Christopher Norris. Christopher comes in here tonight as one of the championship contenders, as does Larry Yingling. With just 3 races remaining after tonight, every point is more valuable than the last as we approach 7 laps to go.
Yeah, and Christopher Norris is definitely looking to the inside of Larry here, and I do believe these 2 are teammates, but definitely not short of having some battles here on track. And especially with 6 laps to go, even if you were teammates, if I'm the 67, I'm not going to let you by. I'm not going to let you by. I'm going to put as much of a battle into this as I can. It's fun. It's going to be fun for the both of us. So definitely going to see some battles here towards the end of the race for these 2.
Quick little recap of the race lead. Cedric Hunter has opened up his lead now to just under 2.5 seconds. That's over Thomas Green, currently runs in 2nd. Ali Fonseca runs in 3rd. Noah Steele runs in 4th. And Scott Rickard is having a good night, rounds out the top 5 as they run right now. Just about 10 miles of racing to go out here tonight. Josh Sawyer now over to the back bumper of Christopher Norris, looking to take away a top 10 spot away in the closing laps of tonight's race.
If I'm Josh Sawyer, this is kind of exactly what I want to see, these 2 teammates battling it out, because it's going to give me the opportunity I have to make it around the outside. We see Chris Norris get loose into 3 and 4 and unfortunately smack the outside wall. That's going to put in a huge wrench into the plan for Cedric Hunter here, and that is not at all what the 7 wanted to see come out now.
It is absolutely not what he wanted to see come out, and Christopher Norris going to bring that 38 car back down onto pit road. And oh boy, Chris, I tell you what, if you thought we had a race before, we are getting set for one heck of a race to close out the final laps. Christopher Norris maybe just misjudges the entry to turn number 3 and makes contact with the rear bumper of the 67 on board with the 38. This one's going to hurt.
Yeah, looks like got just a little bit caught up into the battle with Josh Sawyer on his outside. Might have misjudged it, missed his braking point into the corner, and gets into the back of the 67 and just overcorrects, unfortunately, and sends that car to the way outside of 3 and 4. That's not going to be a hit that car is going to be recovering from here tonight.
It is not, with only 5 laps to go. This may put us in to our first of 3 green-white checkered attempts, and that lead that Cedric Hunter had, that almost 3-second lead, is now evaporated. And we know that Thomas Green has been so fast on the short runs out here tonight, so it's kind of the tell of two tales out here this evening, and we'll see how this shakes out. I would imagine everybody comes down here for 4 fresh Goodyears.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I'm Cedric Hunter here, I just got to push. As soon as I get down pit road, I'm getting those 4 tires on. I'm getting right back out there, and I'm pushing to the end of the race because there's no reason to save here at this point. So, even though I'd say I'm better on the long run as Cedric Hunter. I can't even. I mean, there's no long run to save for. I got to just push.
No speeding on pit road, no sliding through the box. You got to win the race off of pit road. That'll give you your best opportunity to win the race. We'll follow the battle off of pit road. Cedric Hunter first in his box 4 service, comes in as the race leader. Thomas Green comes in second. We'll see who wins the race off of pit road. Cedric Hunter is going to start to roll here, and it looks like Cedric Hunter going to easily win the race off of pit road. Thomas Green going to be, no, that's going to be Scott Richter comes out second. Thomas Green's going to come out third or fourth.
I believe Thomas came out 4th there because we saw Nolan Hicks right behind Scott Richter, and that's a great pit stop for the 05 and the 86 team.
I tell you what here, Chris, we've got a flip of strategies. We've got a couple of 2-tire stops, we've got a couple of 4-tire stops, and we've got some fun strategies here. Cedric Hunter, Scott Richter, Nolan Hicks, those drivers 10 seconds or less on pit service time. Those are going to be 2 tires. Thomas Green, Ali Fonseca, Noah Steele, Josh Kanata, and the rest, all those drivers took 4. So 3 of the top 4 took 2 tires. 4 of the top 5 took 2 tires.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see if the 2 tires can really prevail here tonight. I think they might, especially in 3 and 4. If you get the car a little bit loose, drive it off the corner a little bit better, it might be a little bit of an advantage. But 4 tires, can't really compare to 4 tires sometimes.
Well, and you also don't know that this is going to be the final yellow flag of the night as drivers come into the choose line here. Cedric Hunter, he elects to take the inside lane here for this restart. Looks like Scott Richter's going to take the outside lane. Nolan Hicks going to be 3rd on the row number 2, and the first car with 4 tires is going to be Thomas Green on the outside of row number 2.
And if I'm Thomas Green, that's the exact position I want to be in. I'm on 4 tires, top line. Unfortunately, I've got a car in front of me, but if I can get it to work on the top line, I might be able to get these 4 tires going as opposed to the 2 tires.
Yeah, Thomas Green was kind of in a no-win position there because both of the cars that are starting in front of him are on just 2 tires. I think if maybe Nolan Hicks had taken the outside lane, if I was Thomas Green, I probably would have taken the inside lane to follow the lead through. But I tell you what, Chris, we are coming to what may be our first green-white checkered of the evening. 3 attempts at an overtime finish out here in the Trinity Racing League to settle the score after 160 laps.
160 laps of well-fought battles here tonight as they come to the restart zone. Cedric Hunter is going to hit that loud pedal in about, I want to say, half a second here as he goes. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Here we go for the last 2 laps of racing here.
Green flag is out. Cedric Hunter, he's going to jump away with the race lead. Thomas Green has a clear shot as Scott Richter jumps down to the bottom lane. Nolan Hicks going to get shuffled and moved out of the way. Scott Richter slots into second, but Thomas Green on the run with 4 tires, 2 laps of racing to go.
And we're going to see a ton of impatience from all these drivers here trying to get as much as they can here at the end of this race. Seems to have a little bit of a gap here for Cedric Hunter on Scott Richter, and it might be climbing here as Thomas Green looks to keep Scott Richter under fire here for this final lap.
White flag, 1.5 miles of racing to go. Thomas Green on the inside of Scott Richter. He's going to have an opportunity on the exit of turn number 2 to clear Scott Richter. Not going to happen just yet. One more set of corners to go. It's Cedric Hunter at the front of the field.
And Cedric's got a comfortable gap of about 0.25 seconds on on the 05 behind him, and he's able to do it here, coming across the restart zone here for the final time, and it's going to be Cedric Hunter here for the win at the Colonel 160 at Kentucky Speedway.
Cedric Hunter picks up the win in the second round of the playoffs on a 2-tire strategy. He's able to hang on to the race win. Scott Richter comes home second, and Thomas Green with the 4 tires there, not able to make it work in the closing laps of tonight's event. I tell you what, that was a fun little dash to the checkered flag out here tonight as the field comes around to give congratulations to your race winner, Cedric Hunter, out here tonight. We're going to step away, follow Cedric Hunter's celebrations and victory donuts out here. When we come back, we're going to grab a word with your top 3 finishers. All right, and a thrilling couple of closing laps out here tonight. We're joined with our 3rd place finisher, Thomas Green. Tom and Chris up here in the Cyber Thunder broadcast booth. How you doing out here tonight after 160 laps there?
I'm tired. I'm sweating. I don't even know. My wrists hurt. My arms hurt. My shoulders hurt. Everything hurts.
Yeah, I tell you what, I thought that last caution really fell right into your lap. We've seen you fire off really fast, not just tonight, but kind of all season long. Be fast on the short runs, and then you had a couple of cars take some 2-tire strategies in front of you there. But you were able to almost make it work. You come home 3rd out here tonight. Maybe what could have been a little bit different there for that 3.
Yeah, I thought about the 2-tire call also at the end there, but I didn't think that many people were gonna take 2. If I would have known that, I definitely would have. I wasn't sure if it was gonna work. Our tires, our left side tires, were usually in the 90s all night, maybe the 80s on like the longer runs. But yeah, for a run like that, I wasn't sure if 2 was gonna work. I was just gonna play it safe and hope maybe 1 or 2 took 2, and then it would be me and Cedric on 4. But it worked out for him. I'm happy for Cedric that he's an awesome dude, and we raced hard, but it was clean all night, and that's really fun. He's always a blast to race with, and yeah, I mean, just it was a fun race. It was tough. Kentucky is not one of my favorite tracks. It's definitely not one that I'm particularly good at, but yeah, definitely got to work on the long run speed. We were flying on the short run, but just really struggled after like lap 30.
Yeah, well, you come in here tonight as the points leader, and you had Scott Richter and Cedric finish out in front of you out here tonight, Thomas. But next week we've got Watkins Glen. Any concerns about the road course or any of the 3 upcoming playoff races for a chance at a championship here in a couple of weeks?
This was more of a wild card race for me than Motegi was, so the rest I'm pretty comfortable with. I think definitely with kind of the momentum from Sonoma earlier in the season, I'm pretty excited for a road course. Always love racing on them, and Watkins Glen is definitely one of my favorites, so I'm looking forward to it for sure. Hopefully we can just get a good finish. I mean, as long as I can just keep finishing up in the top 3, it looks promising for the rest of the season, so yeah, I'm really excited.
All right, well, best of luck in the closing parts of this season out here, Thomas. Anybody you want to say hello to back home watching you come home with a podium finish out here tonight in 3rd place?
Again, shout out to Cedric for that awesome battle, and Scott for racing clean there. That was a lot of fun. And shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Always love watching it back, and while I race, having it on in the background. And big shout out to everyone at Trinity for putting this all together. It's always fun to come out Monday nights and race hard and clean like that. And then big shout out to my girlfriend Anna for all the love and support. She watches all of them, so I appreciate her very much. I love you.
All right, Thomas Green, congratulations on a third place finish out here tonight. That's going to bring us to our second place finisher, who Chris Rose has caught up with.
What's up, Scott? How you doing, man?
Pretty good.
Yeah, are you happy with? I was about to say, yeah, you got to be happy with that second place finish out here tonight. I do believe this is one of the first times we've talked to you up here in the booth. And how does it feel to be up here?
It's nice. I've ran basically back half the top 10 most of the weeks. Getting like 6th and 10th most of the time, and I figured I'd try something at the end because I wanted to at least try to get a good finish, maybe a win. So we tried it.
Yeah, absolutely. You did good, man. You were able to get it up here and stick up in the front of the pack for a pretty long time. And you know what did you do different here that you usually differ from in other weeks, or are you just strong at Kentucky?
This is one of my worst tracks usually, so I have no idea how this worked. I don't know if I just was not pushing as hard as other people short run like than normally I am, or what. But usually Kentucky's not a good track for me, so I'll take whatever it gives me this week, I guess. I got lucky.
Yeah. Have you driven Kentucky on the previous package of these cars before?
Oh yeah, I've been around for a while, so yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask. Oh yeah. Hey, I mean it's a difficult track, but it's not difficult. But I was gonna say, did you like feel a real difference between this package as well as like the newer package compared to the old package here at Kentucky?
Dirty Air was a little bit worse, I think, but it's been about every track's been like slightly worse. But otherwise, it felt about the same most of the time for me.
Gotcha. All right. I mean, honestly, I wanted to take a little bit of notes here because I think we're out here tomorrow night, but I got to take a little bit of notes here, see if I could do well. But nah, you did good up here tonight, being up here in second place, bringing that 05 machine up into a podium finish. Is there anyone you want to thank out here tonight?
I think Icon Apparel Company, Team Bossing Racing Setups, my dog in the room, and everybody on the team.
Hell yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I'm gonna let you go celebrate with your team and enjoy that second place finish, man.
I will.
All right, and we're going to catch up with our race winner out here tonight, and that's going to be Cedric Hunter. Cedric, I tell you what, coming into tonight's race, it took you 14 races to find your first win of the season.
I don't think you're supposed to be.
Am I in the wrong room?
I think we've got Tom back here.
All right. I was in the wrong room right there, but I tell you what, we gotta love live TV. Cedric, it took you 14 races in order to find your first win of the season, but tonight you're a winner in the Trinity Racing League.
Hell yeah, I am. Oh man, I've been grinding to try to get a win in this damn league for way too long, and I had a couple opportunities last season to do it, and it didn't pan out. And then I had a few this season, like I got really close at Charlotte. And obviously it didn't pan out, but tonight, man, we were on rails. We had really good long run speeds, I guess as always, and a little bit better short run speed than anticipated. Like I was expecting the last kind of longer run that we had, like I was in the lead, and my plan was to just drop back to 5th or whatever, and just kind of to just wait for 20-30 laps in the run and try to make my way back through. But I kind of realized, like, after 10 laps in, man, I was just, picking people off one by one. So the pace was definitely there tonight. Feels great because I hate this track. But yeah, it's good, man. Like, we're clutching up when we have to in the chase, and trying to put together a run for championship.
Yeah, absolutely. You come in here tonight. You came in here fourth, tied for fourth in points with Brandon Gass, obviously picking up your first win of the season. And I tell you what, a couple of key points throughout the race, Cedric. We had that caution on around lap number 100, and then you were able to drive your way up through the front of the field and then stretch it to about a 3-second lead. So we knew you had a really good long car out here tonight. You were able to manage your tires as this run goes along. You come to 5 laps to go, and then you see that yellow flag. You got to be thinking something's up.
Oh, I was so annoyed. Sorry to Norris there I gave him shit in the Discord. I kind of, I definitely yelled, and it was indirectly directed to him. I didn't, like, yell at him, but I just, let the frustrations out because I know that he was involved or caused the last caution there. But yeah, I mean, I thought my race was over. I am notoriously terrible on restarts and short runs, so taking 2 was definitely a gamble that I thought wasn't going to pay off. And when the caution came out, I mean, I even came over the mic and said good win to Tom. I thought for sure, I had no confidence in myself, to be quite honest with you, so I'm glad I was proven wrong and came out with a win. Feels good to win, man. Hopefully, we have the opportunity to feel this a little more often.
Yeah, you were one of a handful of drivers that elected to take two tires there on that overtime finish that we saw. But Thomas Green was trying to chase you down. And I tell you what, I wasn't sure if the 2 tires were going to work, but they worked out here for you tonight. You get your first checkered flag of the season, and it comes at a good time. Round number 2 of the playoffs. How you feeling about your chances at closing the gap here with 3 races to go?
Good. I mean, when I figured that Thomas was going to be the main, the guy that was most likely going to win the championship. We've kind of seen a couple guys step down, going, I guess, into the chase. I thought Kelly was definitely going to be the shoo-in for the champion, but he stepped down, which kind of gave the rest of us a chance, and Thomas filled that spot. And obviously he's still, I think he's probably first in points right now. So he's the guy I have to try and run down on a weekly basis, which is not easy to do, but if I keep putting shows like tonight's, if I keep doing that on a weekly basis, I feel pretty confident about my chances.
Well, absolutely, Cedric. We're going to let you get out of here and start preparing for Watkins Glen next week, where you're going to be turning left and right at the Finger Lakes of New York. But before we get out of here, we're going to open up the floor. Anybody you want to say hello to as you take home your first win of the season?
Yeah, man. Huge shout out to just all the drivers that congratulated me. At the end of that race, we had a lot of bumps and stuff like that. That was really cool. Shout out to the admins for putting all this, together and setting all this up. I know a lot of work goes into it, so I appreciate everything they do. Thank you to you guys for doing everything that you guys do. I'm going to really look forward to going back and rewatch this race in a couple days, and I think it's going to be a really good listen. And to all the fans out there, man, that tune in, keep supporting these guys. They're great, and in this league as well. You won't be disappointed with the show that we put on, and then that Tom and Chris put on a weekly basis.
All right, that's the words from the race winner out here tonight. Cedric Hunter gets his first win of the season. Congratulations once again, Cedric.
Thanks, man.
All right, and this time I'm gonna stay in the right room, I promise. And Cedric Hunter gets his first win. Took him 14 tries out here, but tonight he is a winner in the Trinity Racing League. He's going to come home with the checkered flag out here tonight. Chris, that was a lot of fun for a race in Kentucky.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to see a lot of battles here tonight. A lot of great show driving, and as well as some little bits of mistakes. Not honestly, we only had 2 cautions per incident, so that was honestly a really good showing out here for drivers tonight. And I don't know, I like I said so many times on broadcast, Kentucky just hits a little part. It itches a part of my brain that I love. So.
Oh, absolutely. Cedric Hunter comes away with the win out here tonight. Let's take a look at the finishing results from tonight's event at Kentucky Speedway for the Colonel 160. Cedric Hunter comes away with the black and white checkered flag out here this evening over Scott Richter, who finishes second. Thomas Green on the 4 tires finishes third. Ollie Fonseca comes home with the top 5 finishing position in 4th. Noah Steele comes home in 5th. Clint Cox comes home in 6th. 7th place belongs to Josh Kanata. 8th belongs to Nolan Hicks. And the top 10 is rounded out by Sam Garcia and Chris Stamper. 11th place belongs to Josh Sawyer. Mike Miller comes home in the top dozen. Larry Yingling comes home in 13th place with Chris Stitz in 14th. The top 15 is rounded out by Christopher Norris, who had a hard hit late in the going of tonight's race, relegated him to a 15th place finish, 6 laps down. Brandon Gass, involved in 2 incidents out here tonight, comes home in 16th. Mark Labertone comes home in 17th. Our field of 22 is rounded out by Ben Kinney, who finished 18th, Aaron Krolick in 19th, Ryan Kelly in 20th. 21st place belongs to Cody Reed, and our field of 22 drivers rounded out by Thomas Walter here from the Bluegrass State at Kentucky Motor Speedway. For Chris Rose and myself, I'm going to make my way out of here. We will see everybody next week at Watkins Glen here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. We'll see everybody there. Same time, same place. We'll see you next Monday night.
Have a good one, you guys.